WorldWideChels.
I would watch us. WorldWideChels.
Subscribe to WorldWideChels.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, people, welcome to another Chelsea live stream. These streams are going to be coming back thick and fast, of course, with the World Cup coming to an end very soon. There's a lot to talk about, especially with Chelsea losing yesterday and general Chelsea news around the club. Before I introduce everyone like the video. Got over 25 people already tuned in. Welcome to the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification. My co-host today, Matt J. Bull. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, all good. It's been a bit of a weird day, a surprise day off because of the snow, but there you go. It is what it is. We're ready to roll.
Yep. Carlito, main man. How are you, man?
It's snowing here too. Oh yeah.
the difference is
weird.
British people are weird.
Yeah.
I live in
too cold. We can't deal with it.
I live in a ski town, so it's nothing new to me. I'm all right. It's journalism in general and the way that it's being reported. All these news stories, all these links. I am feeling so much more like Matt Ball than I ever have. My skepticism meter is through the roof. I am so cynical about everything right now. So we'll see how it goes today.
It's almost as if you're saying brown envelopes.
Yeah. It looks like you're getting a bit minimal than you.
I feel like the vitamins are being superseded by the minerals, man.
Yeah. There you have it, folks. Well said. Obviously, yes, we're looking forward to hearing what Matt and Carlito say. And lastly, Mr. Alfred, he wasn't meant to be on today, but thought we can't miss a stream today. How are you, man?
Yeah, it always seems to happen every time I say that I can't come on because I need sleep. I have an event the next day. I never end up sleeping as much as I think I'm going to. So yeah. I always end up coming on, but no problem with that. I will always love coming on with the new legends and talking about the best club in the world, although currently we are acting nothing like it. But there we go.
Yeah. And everyone in the comments, man, big up to every single one of you like tuning in. True Blue, Ryan, Liam, Hashim, every single one of you guys. Ryan is talking about Enzo Fernandez going to Liverpool. You know, obviously these are just gossip rumors now, like Colin is saying, but we're seeing more and more reports coming out. Oh, Fabrizio now as well.
Yeah, Fabrizio just said there's no agreement in place with anyone.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
done.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, cool. I just had to bring it out there because I know some of you guys like Enzo, so I wanted to make sure we put it out there very quickly. Now,
Steve, I'm gonna be such an asshole in January because of how angry I am at all these journalists, with the exception of Ben Jacobs, who's the best. Everybody else, you have lost my trust. Truly lost my trust. All right? I feel like I've been cheated on, and I've never been cheated on. This is awful. No, I am so skeptical and just, ooh. Let's go. Let's get into it.
That's it. I mean, talking of the next topics, you know, journalism is a bit shocking here. We had a report today. Rafael Leao followed Chelsea's TikTok. AC Milans were very angry about it, and he was kind of like forced to unfollow. This is what's being said now. Italian report.
Is it a slow day media wise?
I don't know.
Top story.
This is top story right now in the last 30 minutes.
Alfred, did you ever think that you would hear the words Rafael Leao follows Chelsea's TikTok and Rafael Leao's employer is so angry that they unfollowed? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I know it's journalism, but come on.
This is mad.
It's interesting. I think there's something in that potentially, because I know
I agree.
I know that players are not. I mean, I'm no manager or owner of any club or anything, but you would imagine that players are probably not supposed to do that.
Oh no,
You know?
Alfred, I'm not discounting it as news. It is news. What I'm laughing at is that this is how players communicate now. Because it's becoming more and more childish.
Mm.
I'm gonna unfollow you on social media to show that I deserve a new contract. Oh my god. It's so preposterous.
Whoa. That's what we're seeing now, Mr. Carlington. This is
I know.
2022, heading to 2023. I mean, I'm sure it's going to get worse with the news that we do see. But there is one topic that I do really want to speak about, and I want Matt to kind of emphasize and explain the whole situation. Broja, massive injury. I'm very worried about the situation now, especially with the striking. Aubameyang hasn't convinced me one bit. I need to see more from him. Havertz need to step up as well for Chelsea. But yeah, Matt, Broja, massive injury. How bad is it? How long do you think? And from your experience and what you've kind of studied and experienced, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it doesn't look good. I'm not the mince words. I'm not going to give people false hope. It does not look good whatsoever. If you look at the way how the knee is rotated, how the knee is, what we call it, translation between the tibia and then knee, it's gone back, completely stretching what would be the ACL ligament. And usually, especially when a player does that sort of scream, it's not normally. I'm not now. My positivity, it's not as bad as Kurt Zouma, and that is how bad my positivity is. Says that I have to say it's not as bad as Kurt Zouma, because Kurt Zouma's was absolutely dreadful, awful. Probably one of the worst ACLs I've seen football-wise. But that is not very
We've got it on the screen right now, Matt. We've got it on the screen right now.
So yeah, so if you can see in the photo, guys, obviously if you're in YouTube, zoom in, whatever you want, pause it and whatever. But the kneecap should be effectively ahead of the sock, but it's bent back, stretching that ligament, which effectively the ligaments in the knee run like that. So you imagine you're pulling that ligament like that, you're gonna tear it. And normally a scream is normally the way it goes pop. And obviously we can't hear any of that, but if Broja's gone, I've heard a pop. That is finito. Worst case scenario, it's what us medical people call the unhappy triad, which is ACL, the MCL will go as well, and then the meniscus will potentially tear as well, and that is season done. Probably next season wouldn't take part. That's probably a good year out. If I'm going to be very positive and to try and sugarcoat it, let's hope it's an MCL, and that's a couple of months.
I mean,
but that is pray to Allah, God, whoever you're pray to anyone, and you might
This guy,
might
man.
get a bit lucky.
This guy is funny, fam. Calling someone.
Yeah, I mean, any type of knee injury like this is probably like 18 months. I mean, you're a lot of times you're never the same. This could affect his career. It's a good thing the cynic in me is going to say it's a good thing we have him long term, because it's going to be a long time before he's back. And that's just the truth. It's part of the deal. And we need to replace them, and we need to replace them now, because Matt, those screams were blood curdling. You don't professional athletes, as ostentatious as you think that they are, they'll never do that unless it's fucking real. And this is a grown ass man, and he was crying, and so it was very serious. He was in an extreme amount of pain, and it's just, there's no denying it that if I'm looking at this pragmatically, we have to buy a new player in January, because we cannot allow this to spoil our season. As much as I feel for Broja, it is part of the sport, and that knee injury in particular, if what Matt is talking about is true, and yeah, I was worried that it was going to be the big three as well. That injury fucking sucks. But we still have to be focused.
That can be go on the sofa, you're done.
Yeah.
That's done. Yeah.
If this was 1985, he would never play again. I mean, I don't. My father has on both knees. My father has like a scar of like 70 staples, going up and down his knee from injuries like this because he played cornerback in college, and so it's like, dude, like a while ago, this would have been it for Broja. So it's not the case anymore, but we need to be thinking about a replacement immediately.
Definitely. Alfred, anything you want to add to that?
I just want to say that I love it how every injury at Chelsea Football Club lately is the length of a fucking pregnancy. It's it's ridiculous, man. Seriously, man. Like, when's it going to end, Robbie? Like,
I don't know, Robbie.
No, honestly, it's at a point where it's fucking ridiculous now. It really is. Honestly, we've had so many.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is just getting worse for our season for sure, man. Everyone tuned in. We've got over 40 people already. Please keep liking the videos. It helps out the channel. Subscribe and hit the notification. Send the super chat to support the channel as well. But let's talk about some positives, guys. Let's talk about some positives. Omari Hutchinson, yesterday. Well, I saw a couple clips. I didn't watch. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say I watched the game every single minute, but I did see a few highlights, and you looked very, very sharp. Now, the question I want to ask you guys: should he be at least part of the squad depth, Matt?
I am going to sit, and I'm going to repeat what I said in the summer because I hinged myself on this one straight away when he was linked and then eventually signed. 100% yes. I think Ziyech is doing very well at the World Cup, and he's doing his absolute best to put him on the shop market and get Chelsea as much dough as possible. I would happily sell Ziyech, and potentially, if you're going to bring a Chukwuemeka straight into the squad as well, or someone else that is in the attack from the academy, I don't know who's there, but say Ziyech doesn't go. If a Pulisic wants to go, I would happily take them out of the squad if they're not going to play much games and put Omari Hutchinson, play Chukwuemeka a little bit more, let them come off from the bench.
So let me ask you a quick question. Chelsea. For Omari, does he remind you of the pre-injury of Hudson-Odoi?
Yes.
Yeah. What, the Championship, FA Cup scoring Hudson-Odoi? I've just asked you that he's running the FA Cup. Are you?
Yeah, and also obviously the breakout from the youth.
Yes, he does look like, and Omari Hutchinson has done that in Arsenal level. Don't forget, this is one. It's not one of these youth signings where we've signed someone, and they've just been falling out of the club. They've not really done well. Club got rid of them. Arsenal were desperate to keep Omari Hutchinson, and they lost 100%. Him. And this is not we don't mind him going because it's not a loss. This is effectively a Bukayo Saka potentially. This is a Emil Smith-Rowe that potentially Arsenal could have had in their squad in a couple of years' time. But Omari Hutchinson has chose to go elsewhere, and happily he is here. He's doing really well, and I wouldn't hesitate to bring him if we're not playing too well. And as the rumours are from Todd Bowley, he's not bothered if we don't get top four. Then this is the perfect time to try and bleed Hutchinson in from and this is not me saying he starts every single game of the season like Mason Mount or other players like that have. This is bleed him in slowly, give him a chance. If he takes that chance, brilliant. If he doesn't, he has to wait for it again. But
guys, it took me 16 minutes to mention Mason Mount. I tried. I tried so hard, guys.
Hold on. I'm not actually slandering Mason Mount.
I know, but I tried to avoid him.
All right. I'm not going to say Mason Mount. I'll say...
I'll leave you Carlito, man. I'll leave him, man. Mr. Carlito, man. Talk to me about Omari.
So this is the equivalent of what Jamal Musiala did, is that we wanted to keep Jamal Musiala, and, players, for one reason or another, just say, I want a new experience. Sometimes that's playtime related. Sometimes that's just, I want to live in a new country or have a new employer. And so with Omari Hutchinson, it's the same thing. He was, going to be, one of those next guys that like was mentioned before, Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, who is criminally underrated, very great player. Yeah, he was going to be another one of those guys, and Arsenal just couldn't keep a hold on him. Probably because they have a lot of forwards, and he probably thinks that if they're not sure on him already, then maybe he needs to go somewhere else to get a better look. And I'm not saying that Arsenal is a better team, but right now they're probably in a better situation than Chelsea. Arsenal has essentially had the same regime for going on 3 or 4 seasons now, and so there's just a lot more stability there.
Yeah.
And with that stability comes, I guess, Arteta just trusting the people that he's already promoted. So maybe Hutchinson sees this as an opportunity for him to get promoted within an unstable environment like Chelsea, because it's not stable, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it is, because it's been very up and down, and people, you can actually take advantage of that if you're a new player coming in, because some other players are destabilized, some other players are not playing well. And this could actually be an opportunistic moment for someone like Amari Hutchinson. As for Ziyech, everyone seems to be having a very short-term memory. I got a message earlier today.
Let's hear this.
I got a message earlier today that says he would be the best player on Chelsea if his form from Morocco translated to the Premier League. Well, guess what? Do you know what international football is? It's the equivalent of high school football. Okay? You're just playing against the opposing school, and whatever kids go to that school, that's the team that they have. Whatever kids go to your school, that's the team that you have. Okay? It's actually not very good soccer. And not often are you playing against the best of the best players. So anybody that's like, having these rose-colored glasses about players like Ziyech, players like even Hakimi, guys, the competition is not as good as it would be in the Premier League. It's just not. That's why a lot of players all of a sudden show up every couple of years in these international tournaments, whether it's the Euros, Copa America, Nations League, World Cup. And everybody's like, oh, shit, look at this player. It's like, yeah, because he's playing against teams that don't have a lot of chemistry. And he's playing against players that are not very good. I mean, you got the starting striker for Burnley relegated who scored 2 goals for the Netherlands the other day. I'm sorry. Ziyech, I've seen way too much bad from him for him to ever, change my mind. He's flattering to deceive. I don't buy it for a second. He just wants to move away. And you know what? He's going to get it. But this whole, it's a Chelsea problem. It's a Potter problem about Pulisic and Ziyech. No, they're just playing against inferior competition in a very chaotic tournament, because these tournaments are always chaotic. So I don't buy it, not for a second.
I mean, just to add as well, international football is incredibly slow paced. It makes Serie A look like the fastest league in the world.
Yeah.
And this is the same with Ziyech. When you looked at Ziyech in Champions League, which is also a slower style of football, Ziyech does well in that style, because the fundamental problem with Ziyech in the Premier League, apart from short stints or one-off games, generally the Premier League is a bit too fast for Ziyech, and that's what I've always that with that type of player, that's always the worry with him, and for me that worry has been proven. It's nothing against the player as such. I think if he went to AC Milan, I think he does very well. If he went back to Eredivisie, I think he does very well. Spanish League, I think that's, again, a bit too fast for him. Maybe the French League might be a bit slow enough. But if he went to AC Milan now, he would absolutely ball out. And then you'd have all these Chelsea fans going, oh, we should have used Ziyech, right? We should have... No, it just, some people suit certain leagues, some people suit certain clubs. Yeah. That's why certain players look really good in the Bundesliga, don't look good in the Premier League. That's why some people in La Liga don't look very good in Serie A, German League, because they're different leagues. And that's why I always like to look at the French League as a barometer of who I like to take players from the French League, because generally, yes, it is a farmers' league in terms of the golfing class between PSG and all that, but that's just because of money and what's happened. And even us with Man City, we're becoming a farmers' league in this league at this rate. But the style of the league is very similar, so it's not that big a transition. Of course, there are going to be players that fail, happens, but that's why you look at French league. A lot more ballers come through Then you see German league, it takes ages for people to transition. Italy, unless you are a very fast-paced player, you take a while to transition, and sometimes you never make it. La Liga is generally quite okay, but I think the only problem is the physicality. But the French league is actually quite a good league to take people from, and that's what people have to look at sometimes when looking at all these players. Like they look at we keep getting constantly rated with these Bundesliga players, but it's fine. It's fine that they have all these good stats, but take into account that it's probably the shittest defense. They have probably the shittest defenses in that league. Some of the defending that I've seen is absolutely embarrassing. I see 6-year-olds play better than that at times. But that's just the state of the Bundesliga. It is what it is. It is literally Bayern Munich and academy teams, effectively.
You're saying right.
I mean, the second best Bundesliga team is literally an academy team.
You're saying right.
The other thing about the German league is that the defense is very wide open. The line's very high. A lot of goals being scored. I mean, you see games where it's like 6-0 and you don't even blink an eye because you're just hoffing them or whatever. They can't hang. They just can't hang. The other thing, the fundamental problem with Ziyech, his number one flaw, is that he loses the ball too much. Why does he lose the ball too much? Because he's not strong enough and because he's not used to getting closed down so quickly. And in the Premier League, when you get closed down quickly and you're being pushed against the sideline or you're receiving the ball facing the sideline, he loses the ball way too much. And that is a product of the league because you're pressed higher, the players are faster, the players are more aggressive, they're more assertive, and they can be assertive for longer because they're more well-conditioned. And Ziyech does not play fast enough to suit this league. Yes, international football is sloppy. International football is slow, and the chemistry is not always there with basically every team. You will always see mistakes, and you will always see people not on the same page. I mean, Virgil van Dijk was probably one of the worst players in the World Cup this year.
Yeah.
One of the worst players. And a lot of that is communication issues, just individual mistakes, him not being on the same page as everybody else. And that shit just happens in international football because you don't have the inherent chemistry that comes with, basically go into your job every day, which is what club is. And so, yeah, you see Ziyech, he's balling out. Obviously, because it's an easier situation for him to compete in and to shine. It just is. And I don't want to hear it from anybody that say, oh, my God, it's Potter's fault. It's Chelsea's fault. No, you dumbass. It's just an easier situation.
And it's also it's in a similar way, a little bit different to Pulisic. Everyone keeps saying exactly the same about Pulisic. But what you got to think of with the USA team, and this is what I always say when Pulisic plays for America. One, he has a bit more determination to play for America because he is Mr. America, Captain America, as we always say. And two, generally the attack just generally revolves completely around Pulisic. Everyone adapts around Pulisic. He doesn't have that same thing at Chelsea. So therefore you cannot, unless you do that, you can't replicate them same performances because Pulisic is not going to get the ball that much. He's not going to have the free roam that he has because other people in club football, he's got to do other jobs. So I think people are so reactionary to get these big takes. And I see it with too many YouTubers at the moment. Generally, in terms of YouTubers, I rate this channel, one or two other channels, but some are just
Who's the channel? Who's the other channel?
I'm not going to mention channels. I'm not going to mention.
No, you said you like other channels.
If I'm going to mention one channel, I do like Eunice.
Okay.
Generally just talks straight sense. Doesn't need to do the outrageous, outlandish clickbait stuff. But there are other channels. I'm not going to name any channels because I don't like drama. I don't like drama. Well, everyone knows I think Roy's a twat, but there you go. But there are other. We're talking about actual football channels, not just whatever Rory is. I don't know what Rory talks about, but there are other channels that I do watch and just inherently disagree with quite often.
Fair play.
It's more, I think they're funny because of their outlandish. Yeah. But it's too much trying to get clickbait. When people need to actually just look at context of things for once. And
I do want to say.
Go on.
Matt and Carlito, you guys, let's have it right. You lot talking facts today, okay? But you lot talking too much. We're not getting Alfred involved.
Sorry, Alfred.
I need Alfred involved, my guys. You know, I know you guys talk facts, but we need Alfred involved.
Listen, I can sit here listening to you guys talk all day, so it doesn't bother me.
No, I was making sure. Just making sure. Sorry about Karen.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, it kind of links with Carlito's rant about the whole journalism thing. All of these journalists are talking smack because all of these journalists, apart from again Ben Jacobs, because I think he does a lot of threads and he actually explains what he's saying rather than just put out a one-liner. But anyway,
I'll give him that 100%.
Most of these journalists are biased to one side, biased to another. So generally, what I do, and this is what I always do, and this is why I sound a bit cynical compared to everyone else, because I sit on the fence. I don't sit on one particular journalist or another. You've got to look at both sides. What are they saying? And take in context and formulate your overall opinion of what you think's happening. And generally, that is around the border of where it is. It's generally in the middle of what them two journalists are saying. So generally, if Ben Jacobs says something at the moment, especially if it comes out of a big thread, I generally trust it because he's got the backing behind him to explain why he's saying this. And if me and Collie were to go and say, Ben, why did you say this when this was wrong? He'll just say, he will explain, well, the information at that point was right, and this happened, it changed, sometimes it's wrong. And that's why sometimes journalists do get things wrong, because at the time it was right, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, football things happen, shit happens, change.
But I have no problem. I have no problem with them saying, okay, well, this situation changed, so now my reporting is changing, because that's the ephemeral nature of the world. That's every news story that we're talking about is dynamic. Every news story that we're talking about is malleable, and it's subject to new reporting. I am fine with all of that. What I am not fine with, okay, is this content arms race to just be first, even if that means that you are sacrificing the integrity and quality of the reporting for the sake of immediacy, for the sake of being first, for the sake of being the guy that says, fuck all of you guys, I tweeted this 10 seconds before you, so look at me. It's like, no, dude, because if you have to retract that and your only inclination was to just be first, you will lose more and more and more followers, and people will stop believing you. Just because you're first, it doesn't mean that you're right. In fact, more often than not, if you're first, it's because you haven't vetted the information enough, and you probably end up being wrong.
Yeah,
listen, I have to respect both of your opinions, man. That's why I rate you guys very highly on this channel. I mean, you guys have kind of summed up everything right now. Big up Man Handled in the comments, all one of my very close friends in real life. I mean, we spoke about Omar, we spoke about Ziyech, we spoke about Rafael, we spoke about the World Cup, really. But we haven't spoken about Money Mace very quickly, guys.
Jesus Christ.
Smash Money Mace. Why are we talking about a Dortmund striker?
Smash that dislike
button. Yeah, you know what?
I cannot believe you just said that, Sadiq.
Yeah,
I cannot believe you just brought up minerals. You brought up fucking minerals.
I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I'll go back to the orange slices, guys. I'm going to take that back. But we'll go back to the Dortmund player. Hopefully I pronounce it right. Moukoko. Yeah. Hopefully I pronounce it right. Anyone actually followed this guy's journey? Because I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't. Okay, I'm not going to act like I'm a saint. I know this guy inside out. Has anyone...
He hasn't had much of a journey. He's very young.
Yeah,
really young.
I've seen parts because I do like to watch Dortmund. In terms of a German team, they are one of my favourite German teams to watch. So if they're on the telly, I watch. And he does look good, but it's very early. I wouldn't consider getting him. The only reason I would consider getting him is because potentially it's a free transfer, and that changes things. I think when there's a potential to get such a young talent that could be the next big thing, and generally Dortmund don't get a lot of things wrong in terms of picking through young talent, as we've seen in the past, God knows how many years at the moment. If there's an opportunity to get him for free, I think the club, logically and just common sense, is an idea just to come on it, because if it doesn't work, it's a free agent. He might be on probably a bit higher wage because he is a free agent, but you're not wasting on such a big position, which I don't think is massively. Obviously, the Broja injury affects it a little bit, but I don't think this situation is a we must do this now because we've got a midfield behind that. When we talk about money maze, we've got a midfield behind that needs absolute dissecting first and a lot of money spent on. So if we can get a young striker coming in for absolutely nothing in terms of transfer wage, and then we can focus on the midfield, fine by me.
Okay.
Let's see how he goes. Let's see how he develops.
Okay.
I mean, I'd rather do that than spend 72 million on a 16-year-old that won't play for 2 years.
There, folks. I think that's well said. Alfred, I think you wanted to say something about him as well.
No, I was just going to say that I agree with Matt. Like I would even consider maybe, well, how much would you pay for him? If
All right,
if
so
you-
well, the official market value of him with this seems to be a little high. With his contract expiring in June, the market value is 30 million euros. I don't think we'd have to pay that.
holy shit, that is high.
It is high.
Yeah. I mean, Carlito was talking about this the other day. Just everything just inflated, and it's just getting to get worse and worse and worse. And obviously, might as well mention it now. Jude Bellingham, Carlito fully against 130 million. I do think he's a special player. I do think he's done well. But I agree with him in terms of the fee. I don't think he's worth that money. But in today's world, Carlito, that's where we're going right now.
Well, it is until leagues and top teams collude against it and just refuse to pay the fee.
I don't think that would ever happen.
See, here's the problem, Max. There's always going to be one. There's always going to be one motherfucker that's going to screw everything up. Often it's going to be PSG or Real Madrid, and they'll just screw it up. All these other clubs will collude, and then one guy will say "psych," and they'll go and pay the 90 million for the player.
That's the problem when you've got oil. You've got not even oil money, just states, literal states,
nation states
countries.
Funding your team. Yes.
So, while you've got the PSGs, the Newcastles, the Man Cities of the world, this is never going to go away. Just get used to it, unless football market crashes and we do not get sponsorships coming in at the rate they do. We do not get TV revenue coming in the way they do, because then everyone will, maybe not these nation states, but everyone will clinch at their pennies. But this is never going to happen because football is such a big sport. It's exploded. It's already gone past that rate.
It's more than that, because the most valuable properties in the world is live television. It's not, EastEnders to shout back out to Rory Jennings, right? It's not,
I was thinking, how do you know EastEnders?
Because I have Wikipedia too, bud. So it's not just that. It's not network TV. It's not any of that shit. The most valuable properties in the world are sporting events. All right, so the money is just there's always going to be more and more and more of it each year. But my problem, Sadiq, is that none of these players are worth this money. They're just not. I mean, I remember when Andy Carroll broke the British transfer fee record. It was like 30 million to Liverpool, right? And it felt like the world broke.
Yes.
Now that's like a that's like a third string player's 30. I mean, it's just wild. And again, none of these players affect winning enough to be worth over 100 million. None of them.
I mean, Sadiq, Endrick is the perfect example of this. If someone who's a 16-year-old that's never played a professional football game in his life can be worth as much as the most expensive goalkeeper on the planet, in Kepa, then of course Jude Bellingham, who has done a lot of good things in his short career already, as in terms of development, of course he's going to be labelled so high. And it's also a thing of when you've got so much interest in so many clubs, you just go, well, bidding war, go ahead, bid however much you high, and then that is up to the buyers how much they want to pay. Unfortunately, it is a market where you can, if you've got a young profitable talent, and that's why I think Chelsea are going down the road of buying an obscene amount of young players, because some will make it at Chelsea, some might not, but because they'll have such good talents, Chelsea will go, there's 150 million, and then we can finally start taking advantage of this instead of being the club that gets ripped off by it.
Yeah.
Because then we can invest that 150 million and go, let's buy Caicedo from Brighton, let's go buy Enzo Fernandez from Benfica. I'm just listing off players that are not necessarily want to.
Yeah.
Let's go buy Declan Rice, let's go buy whoever. Let's go buy, I don't know, Marquinhos from PSG. Let's put a bid there. Let's actually buy players that we need or want or whatever.
No, just quickly, sorry. Is my camera going fuzzy?
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
Yeah, it's doing
and
something
Matt's
really weird.
and Matt's earphones are squeaking.
I'll try and fix that.
Sorry about that. Hopefully it fixes on my side. Matt J. Bull, typical.
You know, just as we're trying to become more professional, these jabronis.
Yeah. Big up, man. Kind of covered every topic, really, man. You lot speak so much facts that it's done within 37 minutes. Now I've got to come up with Mason Mount.
Well, yeah, but Sadiq, you don't provide that opposite opinion because we're just, mate. We're like Johnny. Instead of Johnny talks about his bloody woods behind him all the time, mate. We've cut the woods down. Deforestation team, it's gone. There's no forest to put them blooded people in anymore.
We call that shock and awe. We call that scorched earth.
We've taken Johnny's forest. We've cut it down. There's no oxygen anymore. Johnny's not breathing. Johnny's down. He's gone. The facts have come in, and Johnny is just gone.
Big up the minerals, man.
No, not big up the minerals. Absolutely not. No.
I love all my guys, man. I love Carlington. I love minerals. I love everyone, man. I love everyone equally, guys. You know.
Nope. I really hope you don't. Because if you love everybody equally, there'd be no discernment.
Big up Nippin, big up Sinjay, big up Justin, big up Andrew, big up the whole gang. You get me? So.
What about Ali and Froze?
Are we in the home stretch? Are we on third base, Matthew?
I was just thinking that.
I think
guys,
we're in a 3-2 count. We're at a 3-2 count, right? Bases are loaded, bottom of the ninth. Home stretch, Sadiq.
Last innings.
PG, please, guys. PG.
The towel's being thrown in.
PG.
PG. I'm talking about the moron with the baseball reference about Holland.
Yeah.
I bet on Feroz and Ali's little channel that they did or whatever, whether it's even still going.
Did you see?
Twitter?
It went viral. They done a video the other day. It went viral.
Yeah, but I bet they were talking about Endrick being the final innings.
Yeah.
Proper minerals.
Well, I mean, I haven't spoken to you guys properly. Oh, my camera's going funny again. I haven't spoken to you guys properly about Mason Mount. Obviously, Carlito has spoken to him, but Matt, Alfred, the new contract situation with Mount, does he really deserve that much money?
It depends on how they're going to structure it, personally. I don't think, base-wise, he should be earning lots and lots and lots of money. I think fair play, and I'm gonna try and play both sides a little bit. I'm not gonna be one-sided.
He's playing both sides.
Mason Mount has done a lot for Chelsea, and as Johnny has said, Mason Mount has been Chelsea's main man the last 2 years. Whether last season is your opinion, I think that can be argued between the Mason Mount in or outers all day long. First season, I don't think anyone can complain. Mount was credible for the team. But the problem is, where I come into it, yes, he was very good, but that just shows how terrible Chelsea have been. I mean, I was having a discussion with someone today about how Ramirez would absolutely just walk into this team right now.
Oh, yeah.
Without even a shadow of a doubt and be the best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Our standards have fallen so low that Mason Mount is the best player. He shouldn't have to be the best player. I think the problem is, and I think Mason Mount does, this is one of the problems with Mason Mount, he has too much weight on his shoulders. And he tries to do too much. He tries to be the man of the team, the Kevin De Bruyne of the team. I don't think he needs to be that. He doesn't need to be that. And I think the versatility is killing his game. It's quite proven that players that are versatile early in their career and don't learn a position generally don't make a long career. Ronaldo has said it. How many players will never reach 30 and still be the same player they are because no one's got the mentality for that. People haven't got the mentality for that at the moment. So I think personally Mason Mount, I don't think he should leave. I think he should sign new contracts. I do think it should be incentive basis. And I think generally with players, I think that should be the idea. That it should be highly incentivized because that's what kicks these players into gear to go, hang on, if I want to be earning, I don't know, say it is 300k. If Mason Mount wants to be earning 300k, then he has to do this, and this to make that. And if he wants to earn that, he'll work his fucking ass off to do it. And that's how every player should be.
Well, there's a drawback to that because, Matt, there's a drawback to that because there are players out there that have done way less than Mount. Now, I'm not saying Mount has done amazing, but Mount has done more than these players that are earning stupid money.
Yes, but then I'll flip that. This is a completely new regime.
Yep.
You cannot.
I said that
You cannot say, "Oh, Kepa's on 150k." Mount.
So if Roman was in charge, what would you have said?
Well, you can't say that because Roman is not in charge anymore. Bowley is in charge, and the only contract that has been signed under my idea is Broja and James.
Yep. And Raheem.
And I think James has been absolutely phenomenal and deserves a contract. And there wasn't, and now of course there could be, and the media haven't bothered to report it, but I think media would do anything to report Chelsea player being unhappy, Chelsea rejecting the contract. But as far as I'm aware, Reece James didn't have much issues with his contract. It was talked about the same time as Mount was and was accepted quite quickly. Mount has dribbled on. So Reece James hasn't rejected the contract. Broja, even in a time where apparently he was looking to stay, signed a contract. Don't have a problem with that. I don't know how much Broja is actually on, so I don't know whether he's on a lot and should be on a lot. How much is he on?
200.
200. Is that base or is that with incentives?
I'm joking.
Okay.
He makes 78 a week.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's a problem. That's for a big club like Chelsea. That is peanuts.
That's no problem.
Obviously, Chalobah's signed a new contract. I don't think that's huge either. So I don't see any. I don't see what Mount would moan at any contract and say, "Well, I deserve just as much as him." So, and this is where I go.
The thing is, Mount's contract was unachievable.
This is where I moan. This is where I do not get Johnny with this. There's a few things I don't get with Johnny. This is the main thing. People will say, if Mount is proper Chelsea, why doesn't he why does he reject the contract? Because if you're proper Chelsea, you'd accept the contract and want to stay at the club no matter what.
Yes.
Then Johnny mentions money, but I'm like, but if you're proper Chelsea, you shouldn't care about what money you're on. Of course you want a semi decent amount of wage, but to my understanding, that contract was. To my understanding of that contract, it is valuable. It is enough money for him to break bread, make money, feed his family's table. It's enough. It's at least above average of what any footballer is earning now.
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
In the name of Johnny Mills, I am saying this. Okay, guys. The offer that was given to him, probably, look, this is an estimate, okay? But from what I read, at least over a third or 2/5 are kind of unachievable within the next year or 2 years. So that contract offer that you get, yes, sounds amazing, but the base is nowhere near where it should be.
I don't think the base is that much of a problem. My point is, if he's proper Chelsea, like Johnny said,
we're living across crisis. We're in a crisis right now in the world. No, you have to put your family first. In the day.
Come on, Sadiq. These footballers are on so much money they can.
Bro, they get taxed a lot, man. They get taxed. HMRC.
Hold on.
How much they earn more money than 99% of UK people earn. Much more.
In the name of
what Mason Mount makes in a week at the moment, or half a week, I make in a year.
All right, so
don't talk to me about Mason Mount having restriction problems.
That's not hard.
The thing is, if he's proper Chelsea, the point would be he shouldn't care about what other people are making because he's playing for the club he wants to be proper Chelsea for.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
No, but I'm just challenging Johnny on his standards that he puts Mason Mount to. If Mason Mount is proper Chelsea, fine. We all agree he's proper Chelsea, but he's got to stick to them proper Chelsea standards. I think the problem is Johnny puts Mount on such a high pedestal that it brings hate to people. And that's why I don't particularly hate Mason Mount at all. I quite like the guy. I quite like the player he is. I think he can be a phenomenal player. But I don't think he's played well enough in the past at least 3 or 4 months. Potentially a bit more. That is up for debate, but obviously there are some people that you cannot debate this with. And that's fine. They can stay in their echo chambers and say that they're being muddied, going after people. I don't really care for that sort of thing. I just come in here because I enjoy this.
Okay,
I have my football
please
opinion.
let me
That's
interject. I've bit my tongue long enough. Number one, there is no such thing as proper Chelsea. There is no such thing. That is a fucking misnomer. All of these guys, all of them, they care about one thing, and that is their own careers. They put their own careers above the club every time, and it is extremely naive for fans like Johnny and other fans to say it's proper Chelsea. Proper Chelsea, he died for the club. Fuck you, he died for the club. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He'll take the best offer. Number two, I would like to see how anybody actually saw the contract that Mason Mount was offered. Where you're saying that, hold on, where you're saying 33 to 40% of it is incentive laden with a lower base salary. Number one, American contracts in the NBA are probably 80% base salary, 20% incentive laden. I want to know what Mason Mount was actually offered, because if it's just conjecture and if it's just Johnny Minerals lying to make his argument better, then that's just bullshit. And I do think it's bullshit because he doesn't fucking know. Unless he called Mason Mount himself and got a little FaceTime and said, Mason, bruv, what were you offered? Even then, Mason would fucking lie to him. So get out of here with this. There is no such thing as proper
Bro, I
Chelsea.
spoke to him.
No, there is no such thing as proper Chelsea. These guys only care about themselves. And number two, I want to know what he was really offered. Because what's being reported, I don't buy it because I've become cynical like Matt Ball.
Big up Jesters, man. The annoying guy is this guy right here, and this guy right here as well. Yeah.
No, I'm not annoying. I'm just talking, and this is. I don't want to talk. I don't want to mud Johnny because I'm sure Johnny.
Just how's my mic? How's my mic? Matisse trying to help me.
It is a bit loud and kind of
still.
It gets fuzzy because it's too loud. But anyway,
one
thing I got confused with watching some of the Johnny videos. He talks about this base kind of salary and how all this is too incentive based. So where did my question is, Johnny? Where's your source? And if you can provide me a source, that's fine. Great. I'd love to see the source because I'd like to see my own understanding of it. Why do you believe that brown envelope but not the other brown envelope? My point would be with this brown envelope thing that Johnny keeps pandering on to every time.
Let's bring them on.
My problem with Johnny at the moment is that this whole brown envelopes thing is it's only things that you don't want to believe, and that's fine. I completely understand it because everyone has their own agendas. Everyone will look at a journalist report and go, wow, I want to believe that, so I'm going to believe that and not believe the other, and I'm going to call that out. That's where this campaign against Chelsea happened. I don't particularly believe this campaign against Chelsea. Sometimes when I'm reactionary, I'll start shouting it from the rooftop. But deep down, there is not really a campaign against Chelsea. It is what it is. I don't know what to say. You can't say brown envelopes, every journalist is against Chelsea, and then to make a point in your argument, you put out a source that potentially could be from said brown envelope or someone else. If they're all brown envelopes and you can't trust it all, that would
Matthew,
be my point.
are you asking him to be consistent?
No, I just would like to fairly, calmly, controlled discuss this with Johnny. I know this wouldn't happen because I've seen other debates that he's done, and personally don't want. I'd like to be a mediator between you and Johnny, because I think that would be awesome, and I'll just be eating the
That
popcorn and
shit,
watching you two absolutely go at each other. But
that
I
shit
wouldn't.
would be
I
right
How
up
many
just, I
there.
times
just.
do I have to ask Sadiq? How many times do I have to ask Sadiq?
That's why
to get it
Sadiq's
done?
gone,
And he won't
because
do it.
Sadiq just wants to. Sadiq just wants
Fraud!
to be
He's a
friendly
fraud,
YouTuber.
mate. He's a fraud.
That shit
Sadiq-
would be right up there with the best events in the world. The Super Bowl, WrestleMania, any fucking event you can think of. The
Hell
World
in the
Cup even.
cell. Hell in the
Carlito,
cell.
Sadiq is kind of like the Spider-Man of YouTube. He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that gets on with everyone and doesn't want to cause a fuss.
Oh, he's what is it? Switzerland? He's neutral.
I'm gonna change his name to Peter Parker.
Oh. Alfred, I can just see it now. Oh God, Johnny, he's broken in half. Oh, God is my witness.
God Almighty!
But yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be real, big up to Johnny though. Anyway, for getting 4K on his channel, fair enough. I don't have any problem with the guy. It's just sometimes he just doesn't speak sense in certain points. So I just want to provide a fair opinion.
That was the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard. Oh my God! That's
Anyway, let's change topic. If anyone, by the way, wants to clip that and send that to Johnny, I really
Bro, I left my keys on the door outside. Some guy just gave it back.
Peter Parker, you back?
Bro, are you listening?
Yes, Peter Parker, I'm here.
Are you listening? I left my keys outside the door.
Sneak, are you mad at your microphone or something? Because it is.
Yo, there's something wrong, man. There's something wrong. I can't fix it.
Do you know what I think it is, Sadiq? I think it's these brown envelopes.
Yeah.
I don't think they want us to speak facts.
It's the deep state, Matthew. It's the deep state.
It's the deep state. It's gone for your microphone through my earphones.
This is Carlito's fault, man.
No. Sneak just can't handle the vitamins. He cannot handle the vitamins that me and Matt are just throwing around. We're like GNC.
I've got to fix it after, man, because of you lot. I don't know what you're talking about because I had to go to the door.
We were just saying about how you're like the Spider-Man of YouTube. You're like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that doesn't want to disagree with anyone. You're just like, let's be friendly with everyone. Let's not conflict. You're like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. If you
he's like Luxembourg, right? He's neutral.
Bro.
Yeah, you're like Luxembourg. You're Luxembourg or Switzerland.
You know me. If you saw me a couple of years ago, I used to beef everyone. You'd know me.
Now you're just like, let's be calm with everyone.
Just be calm with everyone. I got Carlito to do the goods. Like, if Carlito needs to get onto someone, he will do it. I don't need to anymore.
Calma Kunde.
That's right.
I got you, Sadiq. I got you.
That's right. Guys, I apologize about my audio. Matisse tried to help me now, but unfortunately, Matisse, your settings are incorrect. But I appreciate your support and everyone else's support. So I want to figure it out. Whilst I do, Mr. Alfred, can you give us the question, please?
Your question. Well, I had a question earlier when we were talking about Mount and the whole contract thing. And my question is, has his ego gotten a bit too big? Because the whole refusal of the contract thing.
I will let Carlito answer that because
okay. So you think he's feeling himself? You think he's drinking the Mount Kool-Aid? Absolutely, he is. These guys are all aggressively online. They read everything. They watch most things, especially the things that make them look good. Hell yeah, he's drank the Kool-Aid. Like he's won 2 Player of the Year awards. Neither one he deserved. Yeah, dude, he's susceptible to drinking the Kool-Aid just like anybody else. So yeah, I think he's feeling himself. I think that he thinks he's the best player on the team and one of the best players in the country. And the problem is that there hasn't been a manager up until last week that actually said, this guy's actually not that good. and we're better when other players are playing instead of him. Because Southgate finally stopped drinking the Kool-Aid of the Minerals man and said, man, this guy's really overrated. So until more coaches do that, I don't think he'll ever be able to humble himself. He needs to be humbled by virtue of someone from the outside and not his little inner circle of Tony Mount and his girlfriend.
And
Johnny Minerals.
I also just want to know exactly what he's thinking. Like, is he thinking, I want to try and get a better contract, but I will stay anyway and accept the contract that I'm offered if I don't get the better contract that I'm after? Or is it, if I don't get this contract that I'm after, I'm gone?
See, I don't know. I don't know.
That would make a massive difference on how I look at him from now on. You know?
Well, Alfred, look at it like this. Jacob deGrom, right? Jacob deGrom, when healthy, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Everybody expected him to stay with the New York Mets. And then he goes and signs a 5-year deal not with the Mets. And everybody's like, oh, my God, I cannot believe Mr. Met, best pitcher in baseball when healthy. He just bailed on the Mets. It doesn't surprise me, dude. These things happen all the time. It wouldn't surprise me if Mason asked to be sold. Seriously.
I mean, I'll make kind of a different point. I think to be a professional footballer at this highest level, you have got to have some stinking high ego about this.
Oh, you have to. You
got to become a big footballer like that. You do have to have stinking high ego. Every one of these footballers have stinking high egos about themselves. Some will let it out, just let it be. Neymar, for example, Depay, they're absolute pricks, but they don't have to hide. They won't want to hide it. But there are other players that will just hide it. They'll act humble, and maybe they are generally outside of the football game very humbling people. And N'Golo Kante looks like a very humbling guy in terms of a general person, but in terms of inside the actual game, every single footballer has an ego about themselves. Every single player has to believe that they are the best in the world. Otherwise, how do you improve? How do you become the footballer you are? How do you stay at that highest level? So I'm not going to say Mason Mount's ego has gone too high, because I think every footballer's ego has to be really high to be a professional footballer.
I just think this is not really the time to be asking for a better contract than you're being offered. We are just going through too much shit right now as a team, and we don't know what level this kid at is currently. Let's say the team was playing well, right? We don't even know if he would be back to his best, or if he would just be crap. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the opportunity to prove it at the moment because of how we're playing and all the crap that's going on in the team. But that's why I think you should just, like we were saying earlier, just take the contract, and when the time comes, if you believe that you have proven that you are earned a better contract, then start talking about it.
Yeah, I just.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter.
But one thing I don't like is this kind of whole Carlito needs to accept Mount or change football. One player doesn't make a football, and this is something that really pissed me off on Twitter last week, and I think I didn't tweet properly for like a few weeks, months, but put a tweet up because it just pissed me off. You got all these, and it is mainly match-going fans that say this. I'm not saying it's all match-going fans. Some that will say, if you don't like Mason Mount, you're plastic. You're not a real Chelsea fan. Blah 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 blah. Johnny, for one, actually hasn't said this to my knowledge, which is surprising. But other people have. But these are all the same people that, in terms of, will not acknowledge the existence of a whole other Chelsea team, and that is Chelsea women. They will not. They did not acknowledge them until about 6 to 12 months ago, probably when women's won the Euros, because hey ho, women's is actually in the media. Wow, surprising. It's also the same match-going fans that go to Chelsea every week. But when Chelsea women finally played at Stamford Bridge, they sold it out, 38,000 people. They sold 38,000 tickets, and 14,000 fuckers didn't even turn up, leaving the stadium half empty. If you're real Chelsea fans, why'd you do that? 14,000 people.
What game? What game? What game?
It was Chelsea versus Tottenham. So Chelsea versus Tottenham, rival women teams. Obviously, the rivalry is not so big as the men's game, but it's a rival game. London club. 14,000 fans bought tickets and didn't turn up. Which, fair enough. Club gets the money. Fair enough. Don't need you at that point. But disgraceful. You've got the same people who go, it's men's international break, and they go, oh no, there's no Chelsea for 2 weeks when the women are playing that night in like a WSL or Women's Champions League. It's like, well, how can you say that you're not proper Chelsea? How can you're more plastic to say that you don't acknowledge even a second team, the other team of Chelsea, but you'll moan at someone for being plastic for not acknowledging one simple player. The only people that players come and go, managers come and go. Ground staff come and go, staff come and go, fitness coaches, whoever, board members, owners. The only constant thing is the fans. So I don't think there's any such thing as a plastic fan unless you are someone that literally jumps from club to club, and there are them people. Fair enough, you do you. Whatever. I'm not someone to go, oh, you're plastic. I'll call you out for just being a dickhead, but that's what I'll call you out for. Not that you're a plastic Chelsea fan. I just think that it's very hypocritical for some people to go, oh, yes, Mason Mount. If you don't like him, you're not a real Chelsea fan. Well, go in. You'll go to him. Well, who's Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper in the Chelsea women's? They'll go, let me think. Do you know what nationality she is? I don't know, actually. Is she English? No, you're wrong because you don't know. Most people don't know. And big up to people big up to the people that do. And there are match-going fans, Chelsea fan cast particularly, who do cover it, and big up to them for covering it for a long time now. But unfortunately, it's not the same for the entire
Mr. Bull
fans. But it is what it is. That's my rant over. Sorry.
Mr. Bull. Let's have it right. I totally agree with you on this situation. But I do feel some of you guys are being a bit harsh on Mount, personally. I think the criticism is too.
I can criticize every player if you want me to, but Thiago.
I don't think it's the same. I don't think you give the same energy.
No, I can give the same energy.
Hold on a second. I would say I'm much more critical of Conte than basically any other player.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Not more than Mount, bro.
Way more than Mount. I've written articles about how Conte should leave.
Yeah, Carlito has been on a 3-4 year rampage about Kante.
Before we get to Kante, Carlito, is this true? This question here.
What?
Well, not question, but this comment. Did you back Lukaku?
No.
Okay, I don't know why I said that.
Oh, no, he's just talking shit.
But yeah, the only reason Carlito is not talking about Kante right now is because he's injured. There's no point of talking about injured players.
It's not only that, he's also going to leave. Whether it's for free or he's going to get sold. So I'll leave it at this because this is incongruent with what Matt just said. I've been a Chelsea fan longer than Sindra has been alive. Okay? I mean, and I was a fan a hell of a lot longer than when Mason Mount got here, and I'll be a fan a hell of a lot longer after he's gone. This is about a team of like 45 players on the roster, and you have fans concerned about one player when there's a ton of players to like, dislike, be indifferent about, or be, casual about, or be, very passionate about. No, man, it's just Mount. I don't like that he's the face of the club, because if that is the face of the club, we're not going to win anything because he's just not good enough. As for the whole keeping the same energy thing, I hate when people use Twitter patois and use it in real life. Y'all, everyone needs to stop fucking doing that. Everyone needs to stop saying things like, he is him. Y'all, if you walked into my office and started speaking in Twitter patois, you would be asked to leave my office. Okay? Because in the real world, people don't actually speak like that. So, that being said, on all things considered, journalism, I expect a hell of a lot more professionalism and vetting this January because you guys were exposed. You were exposed in the summer. You were exposed in the summer for prioritizing immediacy over the verification of your content. It needs to be better. It needs to be better. And fix your goddamn mic, City. My God! You're killing me, Smalls! You're killing me!
I can literally how loud the crisps is. Whatever he's eating.
It's time for me to go, man. I have to fix it after the stream, guys. Carlito, you need to go back to work, my friend.
I know.
This mic, man, let me down. Look at it. It's meant to be a blue Yeti, and it's doing this to me, man. Edit Sports.
He's got a Yeti from the second Obama administration, bro. You need a new Yeti.
Yeah. This Carlito wants Julian Alvarez, who is crap, and Adrian Rabiot, who is also crap. While Liverpool are going for Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice.
Julian Alvarez? What the fuck did I say? Julian Alvarez?
Can I just say one? Liverpool are not going to sign both Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham.
No chance.
Let's be honest. So that's where that point just completely fouls there. But I'll let Carlito defend himself with the others because I actually don't like Rabiot, so I kind of laugh.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked about Rabiot because Carlito loves Rabiot, fam.
He's an experience. He's an experience, man. He's awesome.
I mean, I bought him on.
You know what he is? He's like a swashbuckling pirate from like the 1600s, man. He's a pillager. He's great. Look at the guy. People are terrified playing against him. He's actually really good. You guys just can't see the forest and the trees. It's not my fault. I can see.
Forest and the trees. Jesus.
Fair play, guys.
Alfred, what do you got? No. You got to let Alfred have this final moment.
Oh.
Sorry, what in regards to what?
Anything.
What were you asking me about? Oh, anything.
Oh, Matt, he said Edson Alvarez. Yeah, Edson Alvarez is awesome. He's an awesome player.
Yeah, what more can I say? I think we're just over 2 weeks until we start playing again. Nippon, yeah, and I think we got to win. We got to start winning, man. What are our first two games back? Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth is at home, Nottingham Forest away. I think those are both games that we have to win. And I just want to see some kind of run happening again. I mean, I know it's not going to be easy because somewhere around our first few games is also Manchester City and Liverpool in the Premier League. So it's going to be difficult, but at least against these teams that we should be beating, we have to start getting wins because it's starting to look very, very bad in regards for top four. We're still in with a chance, but we can't afford to make too many more mistakes. So.
Yeah. Before I wrap up, I wanted to just invite Nippon quickly for a minute just to hear him. Nippon Sharma, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Just work life is getting the better of me, man. You seem this all drained after a long day at work.
Yeah, just stay strong, man. Chelsea will be back on your screens for sure. But I just want to say hello to you. But it's good to see Mr. Nippon. We're going to wrap up the stream anyway. But listen, I want to thank everyone for coming on. Carlito, apologies about my mic. But I hope you have a good day, especially in your time. Mr. Matt, thanks for joining. Alfred as well for joining. And everyone in the comments, thank you very much as well. And big up Nippon, man. Everyone else, take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you soon. Peace.
Peace.